This is the third in the first ever district assembly on Zoom.
Okay.
District 6400. And this is treasurer training with Joanne and Ed. Ed's from the Plymouth Rotary Club, a past district governor, longtime district treasurer. There's a bit of nice news about the first half of the year district dues. And I'd like to say that Ed came up with that idea, so you can thank him when you see that part. Joanne is the treasurer and president nominee from Clair. So Joanne and Ed, take it away.
Well, I'd like to have, if we could introduce our DGE, Dr. Noel Jackson.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, it's so great to be here. I just left the other room and came to this room, and it took me no time at all. So, that's another one of the advantages is you don't waste all this time wandering down the hallways. So I'll tell you this, so far we have had amazing talent delivering these presentations, and it's really been great. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking at Ed Schultz's background, and makes me want to push his buttons. So.
Well, no, we have a team effort here, and Joanne is our expert here, and we're both CPAs. So Joanne knows both sides of the border much more than I do, and she's put together a presentation for us this evening, and we're all available. And hopefully I know Joanne's on board. That you have any questions during this event or after, please contact us. So Joanne, would you?
Okay. All right. Thanks very much. So I see some familiar faces and some familiar names from the last few years of treasurer's training. So basically what we've done is abbreviate. Eddie and I have more abbreviated this training just to give you the information that you need. A few reminders, but to give you the information that you need to kind of get yourself going, get budgets and everything done for this year. So I am just going to get this started, and then I will share my screen. Okay. You know what? I may have to do this first. Okay. All right. And I'm going to share this one. All right. I'm still new to some of this too, so you'll have to bear with me. And we'll swap. Okay. Everybody see that?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Well, I said I was sharing my screen. All right, Rick, any suggestions?
Yeah, it was your PowerPoint presentation. There we go. You're now sharing.
Oh, okay.
And your device isn't fully protected, I see.
That's not me.
That's Ed Schultz's screen.
Yeah, that's Ed's screen. That's not mine.
So Ed, you have to unshare. Disconnected Ed. So, okay, so Ed is gone. What can I do here? I can take away Ed's privileges, I think. Remove report, put him in the waiting room. Nope. Ed, so if you go down to pull your mouse to the bottom of the screen, you should see right in the middle of the bar, something that says stop sharing. You just have to kind of bring your mouse. Oh, there we go. Okay, you stop sharing. So Joanne, the presentation has to be open, and then you have to share and select it.
Okay. All right, so you can tell what I've done before. So let me, the presentation is open, but it's on a second screen.
But is it a second screen attached to the same computer?
Yeah, yeah.
That should be no problem. When you hit share, it should open up a bunch of selections. You just have to select the one that shows your presentation.
Okay, that's what I did, and it didn't come up, so.
Okay, so maybe bring it to the main screen then.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's see what we can do here. All right. Any luck?
I still see the gallery of attendees.
Okay. All right, I have no idea then why it's not doing it.
Okay, did you, you sent me the presentation, right?
You know what? I can resend it to you right now.
Yeah, let me see if I can get them on email.
Oh, here, just a sec. No. Now you're probably seeing something.
Yeah, we have all your presentations.
Yep, there we
Yeah,
go.
all my presentations. Okay, now I got it
Very
here.
good.
All right,
Yeah, great, wonderful.
there we go. And I'll just swap screens here.
Beautiful.
All right. There. Now can you see it?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Sorry, just took me a minute to get used to that. Okay, so what we're going to talk about is becoming, to keep with the theme, Noel, to becoming a financial hero. And I really do like your logo for this upcoming year. One I always like to use is, to get started, is I thought our treasurer was on a fixed income. So that's the person you don't want to be.
Fixed income.
Yeah. Okay, so just, we're going to go through, this is abbreviated from prior years. So we're going to go through, important things to remember, annual reports and taxes, club insurance, Rotary International dues, district dues. And then if there's any questions, we can talk about that at the end. So the first one is when you're, as a treasurer, you want to make sure that you have a, if you can, it'd be nice to be able to have a finance committee, or at least, a couple of other people that you can actually talk to and have go over everything with. But probably the earliest thing that you want to do is establish a budget for 2020, 2021. And with that, you're going to establish your dues for the year. And in that budget. And once you've established the budget, main thing is to make sure you get out the members dues notice by early, ours usually go out probably the first or second week of July. I know, Ed, you're pretty prompt at getting everything out right away. You're really quite good at that. So you want to make sure that people have things, and whatever options that you provided for payment. I know in our club, we allow people to pay, they can pay it all at once, they can split it up into 2 payments, whatever is going to suit their budget. And certainly in this upcoming year, people's budgets, we all have to be mindful of people's budgets and where everybody is. You want to make sure that you transfer the signing authority to the new board. Typically, with signing authority, I know when I first became the treasurer of the Windsor-St. Clair Club, we had eight people that could sign checks, and trying to get all 8 people into a bank to transfer signing authority was an absolute nightmare. It took us almost 6 months to transfer the signing authority by the time everybody got in. So yeah, you want to make sure you have a couple of people. You want to make sure you have 2 signatures on all checks, and so if you have 4 people, that's certainly plenty that you can track down somebody other than yourself to be able to sign a check. One of the big thing that both Ed and I are huge proponents of is providing, you don't necessarily have to provide financial statements every month, but certainly provide the board with a summary of banking activity each month so they can see what's been deposited, what's been paid out. This does 2 things. One, it protects the treasurer because everybody has the information. Nobody can come back and say, well, I didn't know about that. Well, yes, you did, because you have that information. And in our club, we actually try and circulate this information once every month or 2 so that people understand what's being paid out of the club. So it's just a good idea. And it also makes sure all the board members are aware of, what's going in and out of the bank. Not everybody is are CPAs and can understand what, a financial statement, but certainly everybody can understand what's going in and out of a bank account. And the last thing is to make sure you provide an annual report to the board and to the club, so that, again, they're the people raising the money. They should know where the money is going and what it's being spent for. Anything you want to add onto that list, Ed?
No, it's very key points. Very good.
So that's just real quick, kind of, the duties of a treasurer and some of the key things that, we try and stress when we do the treasurer's presentation of what you need to look at. Ed, you want to talk about the filing requirements in the US?
Yes, thank you. All US clubs are required to file some type of report annually by November 15th of each year. And all our clubs in the US are on a fiscal year, June 30th, July 1 to June 30th. So you're required to file some report by November 15th. And if you don't, eventually you'll lose your exemption status, and then you have to reapply. So find someone in the club that can be responsible for that. It's very important.
Okay. And if you do need a little bit of time, you can always file an extension, although
Right.
something that is completely foreign to we Canadians, you can't file an extension for anything. The date is the date. So our filing deadline for personal tax returns this year is June 1st. So it actually comes before your deadline. Usually ours comes after your deadline.
All of ours is extended to July 15th.
July 15th, yeah.
So.
Yeah, so. Now, in Canada, there really is no requirement for a club to file any kind of a return with CRA unless you're incorporated. So if you had incorporated, then you do have to file a T2, which is a corporate tax return. And that has to be filed within 6 months after the club's year end or December 31st. But if unincorporated, which most clubs are, you're not required to do anything. And again, CRA keeps on making noises every year that they're going to do something about it, but I can't see them truthfully doing anything for the next few years because they're going to have enough to worry about with everything that's going on right now. HST in Canada, I mean, it's you're not required to register if you're considered to be a small supplier. So a small supplier is one whose total revenues from taxable supplies is less than $50,000. And I know we've had this discussion before, but taxable supplies also includes dues, money you're collecting for meals every week. So, you know, you really do have to, I think most clubs in the 10 clubs in Canada are all exempt from, most of them are exempt, but I think the two that are registered are Roseland and 1918. So HST figures into everything that they do because they're going to have to charge HST on a lot of that information. So a lot of things that they charge. Insurance. So all clubs are required to have coverage. If you're running any kind of an event that's got any alcohol, any potential liability, you have to have that. You have to have the coverage. Ed, do you want to talk about the U.S. coverage?
Yes, thank you, Joanne. On the U.S. side, the Rotary International charges you on a per capita, and that's determined by July 1st of each year. And it can run anywhere from $2 to $3 per member on a, but it's basically you pay that only once July 1st. And that covers basically all your, for any type of function, youth exchange, foundation, anything that's going on in the club. But if you own equipment in that, you need your own policies.
Now, does that get billed by separately than the dues from RI?
The dues, the district, or excuse me, the Rotary International charges it with the per capita on July 1st.
Oh, okay. So that gets sent out with your dues notice when they send out, RI sends, not International sends out the dues notice?
For the internationals only, yes.
Yeah, okay. And then, Rick, do you want to talk about the Canadian insurance? Maybe.
Okay, yes, so for a long time, Neil Macbeth took care of the insurance for the Canadian clubs. That's in areas 9 and 10. I took over that last year. And so I will be the person that will send you a notice saying how much you're going to owe for the year. We have a little bit of time yet before the policy comes due again. But the approximate cost is $19.90 per member. And it's a pretty comprehensive dues insurance policy. Some clubs have riders to give extra protection, and so they'll get charged for that as well. but you should warn well, it'll be you as treasurer. You will get the notice of the insurance sometime in October, I think, is when it'll go out. September, October. If you're here and you want to know what's going on, give me a shout. Caron at uwindsor.ca. And this is funny because I just learned that the Canadian Master Policy has been posted to the district website. So probably Neil did that, but didn't tell me that we do that. And, and so if there's one there, it's the old one, but I'll certainly make sure that it's going to be there in the future. So thanks for that, Joanne. It's a good idea.
So Rick, so what would people need extra coverage for?
Some people have extra coverage for some of the larger events, and I think actually that's it. So
Okay.
yeah.
So Joanne, on the U.S. side, you'd want your own policy if you have equipment, like we have a barbecue and we have trailers, so we have an additional policy so they're separate on that. And you want to get you don't want to pay for insurance on your event. You can get a insurance certificate from Rotary International, and that's usually posted sometime in July.
Okay. All right. So the RI dues, so they're $34.50, right? Start in July 1st. That's the
Correct.
number you gave me, right, Ed?
Yes,
And then you're billed roughly $1.50 for the council on legislation, $6 for the Rotarian for all your members per member, and then the estimate somewhere between $2 and $3 for the club insurance.
correct.
So $44.25, and this is all in US dollars. And
Right.
then January 1st, they're not raising it; they're leaving it at $34.50. Ed, for the
Well,
year?
it's a dollar
Oh,
for
it goes up $1.
for the entire year. Yes.
Okay. And then again for the Rotarian, so that will be $40.50.
Right, and there's no insurance on the January.
Right. So that's just billed on the first one.
Right.
So these numbers are given so that it will help you budget and be able to put your club's budget together for the year. And then the district dues, and Ed, I'll let you talk about this one.
Right. The Council of Governors met last month, and we looked at the situation in all our clubs and what's going on with the pandemic. And we decided to defer any district dues to the clubs effective for July 1 through December 31st. So there'll be no due statements to the clubs, any clubs, for the first 6 months of the new fiscal year, July 1 to June 30th, 2021. But they will be reinstated January 1st, just for 6 months.
Right, and there'll be no charge for pets. Typically, there's a charge for pets in July and another charge in January, but it'll just be in January, right?
Correct. At this time, yes.
Okay. Okay, so this is just for the upcoming year.
Right.
And there's contact information for all of us. And if anybody wants a copy of the presentation, I'd be more than happy to send it out to you. And I'll open it up if anybody has any questions.
Okay, yeah, before we go to questions, just want to note that these sessions are being recorded, and the record will go to Liz Smith for editing, and then we will let people know where they can get the recordings and look at them afterwards if they missed them or want to review some of the material. So Kojo asked a question. He said, do any of the clubs have a different due structure for nonprofits? I'm not quite sure what he means by that, but Ed or Joanne, do you know what the point of his question is?
I mean, for the clubs, they have their per capita per their membership. So I'm not quite sure. They still have to pay international dues and part of our dues. So, and they have to run their club. So I'm not quite sure what the intent of the question was for being a nonprofit.
Kojo,
So
can you?
you may have some individuals who are preachers or work for a local nonprofit, for a Salvation Army or what have you, and they may not be as well off as some of us.
Oh.
So my question is, do some clubs charge those individuals less than they would if you know, the regular dues is $240 or whatever, we charge them 200, 140, huh? That's the intent of my question.
That's a very good question. I can say that in my experiences so far over the last 3 years, I don't know of any club that does that. I do know of some nonprofits that pay the dues for the members. For example, I believe the Salvation Army sometimes will pay for their officers to be members of a Rotary Club, but that's probably a club decision. The most common thing I see is a reduction in the dues for younger members to try and encourage them to come out. We might see something different this year. I know my club has been talking about giving a break in dues for those that have been hit hard financially with the COVID crisis. But I think it's a club by club decision.
I do know that sometimes someone will pay for the clergy. We have done that in our club several times. Members will pay for clergy that are members.
Ed, I think this is a question for you. Are there reduced semi-annual amounts for the Rotarian magazine if couples are members, or if members would rather get the magazine electronically for environmental reasons?
The electronics are charged the same amount, and getting the magazine is optional. I think you can opt out.
Yeah, so I think the answer is no. I've been getting the electronic magazine for years, and I don't get a reduction, and I've never heard of a couple's reduction for the magazine.
I didn't know you could get an electronic one. You just go online and change the delivery to electronic?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Go to your My Rotary account and.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I learned something new.
Yeah, it used to be really awkward because you had to have a Vimeo account, and then they changed the place where they stored things, and it was just a real pain in the neck. But now you get an email, and you can download the PDF of the magazine and have it forever. So it's
Wow, that's great. I'm going to do that.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Any other questions?
I'd like to add that if you're a new treasurer coming in, that you get with the existing treasurer and see what's on the handoff of what the materials is going to be provided to you. As Joanne said, getting the signatures, making signatures change, but also record retention is so important in this environment. Retaining records for 5 to 7 years. A lot of times the boxes are just moved from one treasurer to another. We have record retention on files, share file that's free to any club in the district. So I certainly encourage you to do more electronic storage.
Good, Ed. Joanne, I wonder if you could stop sharing your screen now, then we will be
Okay,
able to.
sure.
And I see that Meg Coughlin has her hand up for a question. Meg, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm unmuting, sorry about that. I had actually 2 questions. The share file, how do we access the share file?
I can answer that right away. Send me an email and I'll give you an account and password, and suggest that you have at least 2 people in your club that know that. And then you get access to a part of the share file drive that has your club name on it.
Great.
So it's pretty easy. So just send me an email, rcaron@uwindsor.ca. I'll type it into the box. That was one question.
Yeah, my second question has to do with the insurance. I'm with the Detroit Club. Only been involved in Rotary about 3 years now. And on the insurance, if we have an event and we are serving alcohol, does the insurance have coverage for that? Or do we have to get a special rider? Does anybody know?
It does cover it. There are limitations, and you can get it. It depends on the facility you're having it in, I'm sure too. But Rotary International Insurance does cover it.
Good. So if you have to get, sometimes you need to get through the state of Michigan a one-day liquor license and have some type of proof of insurance. And who would be the contact that we would reach out to for that type of information?
If you go to Rotary, My Rotary, and you can go to insurance, there's a link there and you can get the certificate.
Okay, great.
On the Canadian side, you have to, I don't think you have to pay extra, but you have to let the insurance company know. And if you contact me, then I'll get you the right paperwork for that. And also, Meg, after you said you're from the Detroit Rotary Club, I'm going to suggest that you not call me, but contact Liz Smith. She's the master share file. She's the one that gave me permission to give other people permission. And she probably can go through with you the Detroit part of that share file, so you can learn the data structure and what's there already. So Liz is your contact for that.
I appreciate that. The reason I was more interested in the share file is I was a bit unnerved by a DACDB session that I attended this past week, where DACDB was saying that they're not sure how long they're, that we can store things or the volume that we can store. Right now it's okay, but they don't know about in the future. And that's unnerving because I've been uploading lots of things to DACDB. Yeah.
Share file, the District Rotary Foundation Committee, when we get a district community or block grant, it's called, we are allowed to put in some business expenses. And out of that, we buy the share file for the district. The main purpose of that is to help our district for its grant file and applications and reports. But since we purchased it, we allow clubs to use it for whatever they want. And so far, we may as well believe that the amount of storage is unlimited. We haven't hit our capacity yet. And when we do, we'll just buy more storage. Computer storage now is very cheap. So, and it'll last. It's a pretty solid business model and a good company. So you can trust it. But talk to Liz. She knows more than anybody in the district about ShareFile.
Great. Wonderful.
Hey, Joanne, I'd like to add that the intent of the reduction of our dues for the first 6 months, part of that intent was to have the clubs give consideration to their due structure for their members in the coming year because of what's going on and some of the events that are going to happen this summer and the fall that are, a lot of people are going to be unemployed or have less money to spend. So we certainly hope that you consider that when you do your budgets.
Right, that's a good point, Ed. That's a really good point.
Okay, so I don't see other questions, and Noel Jackson, District Governor-elect Noel Jackson, wanted to have the final word tonight. So Noel, the floor is yours, and we'll close with
Thank you so much. I'm just, after sitting through these sessions, I'm so encouraged by the quality of our presenters, and I've been watching the faces and the activity of everybody on the screen, and people are taking so many notes and are so engaged. So it's really going to be a fantastic thing. Coming in as district governor, it's a job that I got a feeling that you take, but you cannot do that job. And you cannot do that job without having amazing support. And I've just, everywhere I turn, there's what I call the pillars, the people that are there to help carry the day and help make things happen. Of course, Rick Caron, my side Rick trainer, he's been doing an amazing job. But also on the financial side here, Ed Schulz has been just responsible. He's a leader. He's compassionate. Joanne King coming through and just, helping always to make things work. And James Van Horn. So thank you so much. And that's personally thanking, but also we all have to say thank you to all the people in the district that show up to make it work the way it does, because it's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
So with that, again, my thanks to Ed and Joanne and to all the participants, and have a good evening, rest of the evening. And we'll see probably some of you tomorrow for the next session. Bye-bye,
Thanks,
folks.
Joanne. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Right.
Night.